Muslims all over the world. Those Muslims that are not declared war on are joining the other sides. Saudi Arabia and other Muslim countries are beginning to work with Israel and are beginning to work with Saudi Arabia and beginning to work with America to fight against countries like Syria, like Iran, and what have you. That's what's happening right now today. Okay, so when we look at the world that we're living in, we're in a big crunch here. So we might look at being oppressed gives us the right to use tyranny like they have. They did this to us, we're going to do it back to them. That's not the case. The Quran actually prohibits and forbids us going too far like that. In other words, it's 100% against it. Now remember, we've looked up and we've had to deal with all of these things. Now here's what we have, is we're developing a campaign to help rebuild the African American Islamic movement in North America. And we're going to state that. And our next slide, it will state that when you see us out here, we are not beggars, but we are working to rebuild the Islamic movement in North America. And we'll have little things like, for instance, this is from the hospital. We'll have that on, we'll have that on the back. Not that one, but one like it. We'll have that on the back of the flyer, you know, because this puts a human element on it. See, we be telling the people, this is what happened, but here's the human element. You know what I mean? This is what actually, they got wrote down here what they supposedly did. Any doctor or medical person that sees this will say, man, they really worked on that brother. And they will also, know that, I will give you all of that when I do the, no, go ahead. So what I'm saying is this. When we put together our packages, they will reflect the environmental circumstances that we're dealing with. But in no case can we, well, the Quran allows blow for blow, eye for an eye, that type of thing. But it says to treat them with kindness is best, if you but knew. You see, so the Quran gives us an option to, if somebody hit us with 1 pound, we can hit them back with another 1 more pound. With not a pound and a half, just only 1 pound. But it would be better to return good for evil. The Quran is consistent with that. So our flyers will humanize us, and we'll state to the people clearly, like out there, we'll go out there again next week, but we won't have boxes next week. We'll put the flyer out next week. We'll go to Dar al-Hijra during the nights and put out that same flyer. And when we come back to Dar al-Hijra, it'll be several weeks later, and we will have told the people by putting them on cars at night and what have you, that we are not beggars out here. We will give them the outline of Islamic movement, what happened. This is briefly, we can't put 40 years in one flyer. We're not going to try to do that. So that's why we're going to have a series of 10, and they'll be very basic. So what we're going to discuss, it'll be in a serial manner, where when it's in the final analysis, it will be a more complete job. But in the beginning, that's what we're going to do, inshallah. All right. So this is a campaign to help us rebuild You gotta remember the flyer I always show where the African American community feels, I don't know, depressed and, and all that. We don't feel that way. Here's what they did. They took our leaders, Saraj, Zaid, Shaka, and everybody, and they put them on their circuit. And they helped build these immigrant centers all over America. And they neglected the black community. They straight out neglected it. Okay, now, when Yusuf alayhi salam is speaking to his brothers, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the conquest of Mecca, they asked him, he says, what should I do with you folks? He said, oh, we want an honorable end from an honorable family, He says, so I say the same thing that Yusuf said. La tatrabu, no reproach. That's what we say to our brothers. We're taking the long-range picture. This rebuilding or the revival of the Islamic movement in the African American community is not a racial issue. It's an Islamic issue. Here they are almost making fun of our movement, Dar al-Islam movement. It's the same, they're saying it's a great contribution, but where's the movement? You see what I mean? Okay, now our brothers that helped and aided in this. Over at Howard last year, Ayub was there, Sherman Jackson, and Zaid Shaka. They said the African American has replaced the immigrant with the white man. Years ago, 20 years ago, everybody would point at African American and say, man, this stuff is coming through y'all. They don't say that no more. They ignore 100% all of our issues. Many African Americans don't vote or don't even care about voting. Some do. A lot do, maybe 50-50. But in the old days, none of the African Americans, we didn't believe in it. Okay, look at the movement, let me explain. Civil rights movement, Dr. King and all those. And before, it was other groups that, freedom riders, civil rights. Then, Black Power movement, Black nationalist movement, and finally, the Black Liberation Movement, which is mainly underground. And then Islam. Here's what happened. These movements transferred strategically or some natural process. The black movement morphed into the Islamic movement. In North America, that's exactly what happened. And for a while, we carried the ball. But after a short time, by the 1980s, at the end of the 80s, the immigrant community sees all of these great speakers. Man, these guys can talk. And they held fundraisers, and they held revivals, and they did all of that. And you looked up in 10 years, it wasn't nothing happening in the black community except the Malcolm X program every now and then that people talked about, but they didn't do nothing about it. And everybody played a part in it. Now, that's where we come in. La tatrabu. What does that mean? Or la tatraba. It means we overlook our brothers. Whatever they did, we overlook it. If Allah can have Yusuf alayhi salam overlook his brothers who threw him in the well, sent him off into slavery, right? Right? That is a prototype for us today. In other words, our process right now goes like this. Now, remember, this right here is 5, 6 years old. I don't know. It's quite old. You know, our current future programs. It's not new to us. Re-Africanization of Islamic movement in North America. The community as a whole may just be seeing this, man. Actually, what they feel is that the immigrants did a number on them. They feel like they was taken for a ride. They got sucker punched. That's the way they feel. We don't feel that way. We don't feel that way because we felt we was doing our duty. Those same people that helped the immigrant community isolated us, to the letter. The brothers, even now, still, they won't talk to us, but they talk about the problem. Oh, we feel so sad. Well, I just told y'all you're a damn fool. Right. So why you do that? Well, because I wouldn't talk to them like that. But if that really happened, wouldn't somebody come and say, you don't have to say, well, you was right all the time, da, 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 da. But you might say, I wonder what we could do about this situation. What kind of steps could we take? You don't just ask a general way, any kind of way you want to do it. But they don't do that. That's why we have to be very patient with Negroes. We have to be very patient with Negroes, and they may even repeat the same behavior. They may do it, but that's not on you. It's not on me. It's on our job to do the best we can with what we have. So we'll just go over this. We'll put some of this on our flyer too, but it won't be in detail like here. Re-Africanization of Islamic movement in North America. That's part of our Islamic revival. See, for something to be revived, it'd have to be almost dead. Now we can talk the work of Islamic revival. De-Israelization of the Islamic movement in North America. The Muslims in North America, if you look at any place around here, they almost got Israeli rules. Oh, you can't pass this out here. If you go to some of the institutions, they'll say, no drop-ins. Like you go there and you say, I need a little help. They'll say, no, there's no drop-ins here. I said, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, there was only drop-ins. You came in and you said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my belly is a little hungry, the kids say. He said, well, anybody got anything for the brother? No, but I can show him where he can go to get something, or just wait here a little while till somebody come in that can help. Those are drop-ins. If you and I come and drop in Dar al-Hijra, they say, no. They got a stack of rules, white man's rules, that bar you from coming in and asking for help. You got to get on. It's unbelievable. Well, I think they're the white man's rules. I know the white man's rules, so when I heard them running it, Brother Tufel and I went over there. I said, boy, these some serious rules here. They the white man's rules. You got to have this kind of a card. You got to be a 501c3. We don't give individuals help. We just give organizations help. We do this, that, and other. I said, boy, y'all some cold folks. So that is an Israeli program, de-Israelization of Islamic movement in North America. What does that mean? That means the Islamic movement in North America is following an Israeli design, not an Islamic design. And the leaders don't care. But we're going to invite them to be a part of this. We're not going to go out and condemn the Muslims or condemn everybody. If we did, if we condemned everybody that played a part in this, we'd be condemning everybody. That's why if you condemn one brother, you was condemning them all. That's why Yusuf alayhi salam said, La tatraba. La tatraba. No reproach. That has been our policy for over 5 years. Why? Because we've been under constant attack. Right? Do you know that literally, let me see. Where's my phone? Let me see here. No caller ID. If you were to run the scroll up and down there, just watch and look at the no caller IDs. Just run the scroll. No caller IDs. Just keep it rolling. No caller, just keep it running. No caller IDs. No caller IDs, right? No caller ID. You know who that is? That's Khadijah. That's Khadijah. No caller IDs. No caller IDs. That's all it. Why? Why are they calling me all the time? And if somebody is stealing your property or trying to, and trying to do you in, why would they call you every other day or all day, 4 or 5 times a day, unless they're stalking you and harassing you, which is illegal? It's because they want to provoke you into doing something. That's what they did with Imam Jamil. Down in, I was asking one of the brothers the other day, I said, do you think Imam Jamil would have took, I should